Now on Enough Said with KFAN Radio's Dan Barrero and Justin Gard.
Look, I have zero sympathy for Hillary Clinton on this regarding the timing, and we really don't know what's in here, and this could sway the election.
Enough Said.
If Donald Trump were to win this election, we would have a commander-in-chief who is completely out of his depth and whose ideas are incredibly dangerous.
Hillary is likely to be under investigation for many years, probably concluding in criminal trials.
Welcome back to another edition, a controversial edition of Enough Said. My name's Dan Barrero. Justin Gard is with me, and Lori Fisher will get us going as, well, for semi-usual. Lori, good to have you back.
Hi, guys. Thanks. It will all be over on Tuesday. At least we hope so. Election day is almost here. A new poll showing a tight race among likely voters, 45% supporting Hillary Clinton and 42% supporting Donald Trump. Millions of Americans have already voted, and many say that who haven't voted say they've already made up their minds. Dan.
Well, you know what fascinated me about those two sound bites? Did you notice their similarity in that the Hillary Clinton soundbite was ripping Donald Trump and saying what Donald Trump would do if he were elected president, and the Donald Trump soundbite is about what Hillary Clinton would happen to her if she wins. Same with the commercials. Are either of these candidates capable of ever saying, here's why you should vote for me, as opposed to savaging the other? It's a perfect metaphor for, I think, the election, and I've declared it over. I may regret it. I still think it is. It's clearly tightened up some, depending on the poll you want to believe, but we've learned, have we not, that on polls, the only polls that are going to matter, really, are on next Tuesday, because I think the election, mercifully, is next Tuesday.
We think so.
Hopefully move on with the rest of our lives.
It's too bad we couldn't do the rule where even if it is November 1st on a Tuesday, you can still do the election, because it would be nice to have it in the rearview mirror. But you're right. I think that's why people are fatigued by it.
That's
and
exactly
the latest poll now is everybody hates everybody, and everybody's sick of it, and everybody just can't wait to get till Tuesday. Time Magazine said it's almost over. I think that's why. Even though we are, I think, cynical and negative, probably more so than we've ever been, we all get sick of it eventually, don't we? I'll ask you. You've been called cynical and negative for basically 40 years.
Until the Cubs won the World Series.
Until the Cubs won the World Series, everything changed. But eventually you do get tired of it, and you say, all right, you can only rip on this so often. You can only hear about negativity so often. At some point, you do want to move on.
You can only hear so much analysis and so many polls and so many of these wonks on either side. They're not wonks. They basically have their candidates.
Bought and paid for.
But honest to God, give us, instead of that nonsense that we just heard, give us a few reasons to vote for me, as opposed to look how dangerous that person would be. That's the biggest problem I have with this election. And even on TV, there's another commercial laying out all Trump's sound bites, ripping women, and all that stuff I get is legit. But that's all I seem to see. And it sends this message that I can't really try to tell you why you should vote for me. I just have to scare you so that you don't vote for Trump.
Do they try to do that, though, but nobody really listens and nobody really cares?
That's what they'll say. I don't believe them.
But even in the TV world, in the TV industry, we've talked about this over and over again. They want the red meat. They want the negativity. They love it. And, now Trump, in the early stages, they carried every single second of what he said. I'm sure they do that for Clinton as well. I don't sit there and watch 90 minutes of the stump speech that they're doing it. But you dice it up and say, well, what are we going to play tonight? We'll just roll with the negative stuff.
I'd respond, but Lori just said we got to
cut us off. Yeah. And she's here this week, so we got to listen to her.
We call her the task.
We want her to come back next Friday.
Let's go to the Clinton email scandal. The FBI announcing newly discovered emails possibly related to the investigation into her private email server. The emails were found on former New York Representative Anthony Weiner's laptop. His wife is one of Clinton's top aides. Dan, could this be a game changer?
Well, my guess is it's what has tightened the polls. The truth is we don't know what's in the emails.
Right.
I just love, again, it's another perfect metaphor for this election, that emails related to your guy, Anthony Weiner.
He's back.
Who had sent out these photos to allegedly 15-year-old girls. It's perfect again. It just fits so nicely into the reality show we're living. Look, I have zero sympathy for Hillary Clinton on this regarding the timing, and we really don't know what's in here, and this could sway the election. And there's at least one Democrat saying you violated, I think it's the Hatch Act. I got no sympathy. You started this process, and once you decided to once you made that call to be as reckless as you were, just like I have no sympathy for Trump on well, what did I do exactly? You're always concentrating on the sort of the salacious stuff. Well, don't do the salacious stuff that you're accused of, and people won't go down that road. Don't say the stupid, reckless stuff you do. So I have no sympathy for her. And on people ripping Comey, the same people who are ripping Comey now said, guess what? When he said we got nothing criminal at the front end, paragon of virtue, did his job.
Yeah.
And suddenly he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, right? If he waits, he's going to get ripped for suppressing. If he goes with it now, it's, well, you don't even really know what you have yet. But they have new emails allegedly from the server. Some of them don't seem to be duplicates. So he had to do what he had to do.
Probably, yeah.
I think.
And you can tell. No, I think he probably did. Mostly because he also said on the front end, I've got to be transparent about all of this because people were worried about political affiliations and everything. If I'm going to go down this road, I'm going to do it eyes wide open. I'm going to let you guys in on the process. He's either a paragon or he isn't, that's my point, I think. And I think she might almost be through it a little bit, and that the polls tighten. It sounds like she's edging back forward to where they were before all this. But you can tell
there's enough space probably.
So far, the Democrats are worried, though. You can tell just on people saying, well, you know what, I'm not voting for her, I'm not showing out, I'm not doing anything. By who they're sending out now, where they're sending them. They've got every big gun, so to speak.
All the big shots.
For the last 3 or 4 days, so they clearly went into a little bit of a panic.
The other part of this, and again, this is another perfect metaphor.
Final thought.
Speaking of that, now you've got what we're learning from, especially Wall Street Journal reporting, is the brawling that has been going on between Justice and the FBI on the pay-for-play foundation stuff, which has always interested me even more than the other. That whether there's pay-for-play or not, there's something there that I'm still not sure we have gotten to the bottom of. And in all honesty, that sort of polarization they're brawling like everybody else is brawling. No one can agree on anything anymore.
Curse broken. Next up, the Chicago Cubs beat the Cleveland Indians in the World Series.
They did?
This is going to be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs win the World Series! Bryant makes the play! It's over! And the Cubs have finally won it all! 8-7-10.
Slept it all. This is the first time the Cubs have won the World Series in 108 years. An epic 7-game series to boot. Dan, I would like to show your tweet after the game. The goat died tonight. The black cat died tonight. Waiting for the other shoe to drop died tonight. Never expected to see it in my lifetime. That is powerful stuff.
I didn't. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I honestly just, and we talk about the curse and we have fun with curses. The curse, whether the curse is real or not, the curse is just a symbol of,
we talked about it last week,
ineptitude, of being unlucky and not good. And then maybe because you're bad for a long time, it gets in people's heads and even players' heads, and certainly the fans' heads. And I honestly, there was a part of me that wondered if I would know what to do if they finished that game off the way they did. In other words, in my head, I'm assuming Chris Bryant, as he feels that ball, is going to slip on the wet turf.
And he did slip.
And that the ball is going to be thrown 80 feet over his head, go down the line. So one run will score, and in fact, maybe both runs score, and they lose the game right there. Nothing would have surprised me. But I have to say, I did know what to do. I have enjoyed it in ways that I never thought I would, and it starts with seeing the looks on the faces of particularly grandparents and great-grandparents with other relatives celebrating it, who have endured what has been an absolutely astonishing century of ineptitude.
That's the coolest part about it. Bill Murray, for example, telling Theo Epstein in the locker room, my parents thank you, my grandparents thank you, my sisters thank you, my brothers thank you, I thank you.
And he means it.
He means it, and everybody means it. And I don't really have a dog in this fight. I love good stories, and I love seeing people happy. Who doesn't? And when it's a streak like that, you obviously want to see it end at some point. And the stories are what I have no dog in the fight, and I've cried like 12 times since the final out. Just hearing people's stories, calls we took on the radio earlier this week, reading what you wrote about it. I've been a mess, and I didn't even really care. I kind of liked that they had lost because it was part of the curse deal. But let's not underestimate the Theo Epstein factor here. I know that very few people are, but I've seen, is Theo Epstein the most important person in baseball? Yes! I mean, what else is he going to do? He's 42 years old. He's broken 2 curses over 100 years.
He's destroyed 2 curses.
Just Red Sox, done.
Well,
Cubs,
you know what? I've already gotten some pushback, though. They're saying,
what do you mean?
Oh, look at the payroll. Cubs payroll is, what is it, approaching 200 million? Is it
a lot of teams spend a lot of money.
And that's the comeback. And he still built a lot of that talent from within. He went out and got some pitchers.
Yeah.
But he built some talent from within by making a number of moves. And I never thought something could be bigger than the Bears winning in '85 because it's a Bears town in Chicago. This is bigger because of the length of time we're talking about, because of the number of times the team got to the playoffs.
He has helped me tremendously in the 3 years that I've been here. He's had an unbelievable career.
By his resignation this week, offensive coordinator Norv Turner quitting Wednesday morning. Coach Zimmer calling him a great coach, great teacher, and great person. He even got choked up a bit. But there are still a lot of questions surrounding his departure. Did he resign or was he ousted? Dan?
I think it's a combination of both.
Right
It's not a straight, and that may not be the sexiest answer, but it's not a straight resignation. Anybody who believes that is beyond naive. Norv Turner doesn't resign in the middle of what was still a good season, even if you're having some struggles at this point in his career. He does it at the end of a season or he retires unless there's some acrimony. And I think the acrimony is pretty easy to figure out here. When the head coach Zimmer got here, he basically said, I'm going to concentrate on defense if I can get somebody of his pedigree, Norv's pedigree, so that I can kind of get acclimated.
The defense going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that
Good
way,
strategy.
Here it is. And I think that's the way Norv got used to and what he got used to. And then what happened is the offense struggled for various reasons. Not all of them, I think, Norv's fault. And then Zim says, I'm going to bring in a couple of other offensive minds. I'm going to make it seem like it's just because I want other good coaches. And that was part of it, but I think they got more involved. There's been some tension because, the quarterback's getting killed. And my thought is Norv basically said, I don't think you guys really want me here. And maybe he felt sorry for himself a little bit, too, about the heat, that it wasn't just his authority any longer to run the whole thing. And he just said, here, I'll make it easy for you. I'll leave. To me, I think that's my best. No one knows, but I think that's my best
but it's
guess.
Clear something wasn't clicking, and this had been brewing. We're hearing more and more that this had been brewing. It's not like Norv just woke up on Monday and said, you know what, I've had enough. Something had been percolating, as you like to say, for a long time. And I'm really surprised we got here. Maybe I'm naive, but when they brought in Shermer and Sperano, the two former head coaches, the Mike Zimmer I knew at that point, I thought, there's no drama here. Mike Zimmer wants the best possible coaching staff he can get. Because the theory at that time was, and a lot of people wrote about it and said it, wow, this is interesting. He already threw Norv under the bus once after the Arizona game last year.
With us, yeah.
There's some things that he doesn't like. Does this mean that Norv is on double secret probation? And I tried to say, Zimmer's not that dramatic. Zimmer's not interested in those histrionics. Zimmer just wants to win football games. That's all he cares about, I think. And so I feel kind of stupid and naive, to use your word, because it's clear that whoever was driving the bus on making Norv uncomfortable or why Norv wasn't uncomfortable, that dynamic, it wasn't quite as simple as I tried to make it 6 months ago when they made these hires.
We may even have talked about this on this show, that we do have, a couple weeks ago, some of us complaining about 5-0, no drama.
Yeah.
And since then, they've lost two badly. They've got a new coordinator, and they got a lot of open questions.
Still problems.
So I guess we get what we want. But I'm as curious as anybody to see whether this will fix it. I'm not convinced it fixes the offensive line, though. I'm really not, and that's where it surprises me a little bit that you'd go that far at a time like this.
Okay, let's move on. Carolina Panthers Cam Newton meeting with the NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell this week about equal treatment on the field. He says he doesn't feel safe. He's often a victim of missed calls because possibly of his size. Take a listen.
I don't know. It's not fun. It's not fun. It's really taking the fun out of the game for me, honestly. It really is, because at times I don't even feel safe. Right, and enough is enough, and I just can't keep accepting. Oh, we missed that one, or I apologize for doing that, or I didn't see it. That's horse crap.
He says if players do something stupid, they should be fined. Does he have a point, Dan?
He said, I want him to say enough said. He said enough's enough. I think close enough. In any case, yeah, I think he has a point going back even to was the opener against Denver.
Yeah.
There were a couple of times, I think we talked about it, where it looked to me like he was getting brutalized. I think part of what he's penalized by, and this isn't a very good excuse, is it's sort of the I think Rivera, his coach, is talking about the Shaq effect, where if it's a bigger player, there's this unconscious thing that referees or officials do, like, well, they can
he can
somehow
handle it,
take
he can
more,
take
or
it
doesn't look like as much is happening to him because of his size. But I got to tell you, again, the sympathy for him among NFL players is going to be a little bit limited for two reasons. One, I see other quarterbacks get mauled. I don't think he's the only one. In fact, I think there's even some video evidence to explain that. And you play the game the way he wants to, very emotional, have fun after he makes a big play.
Celebrate everything.
Players notice. You could say they shouldn't, but they do, and so there's not going to be a lot of sympathy for him. I'm not sure that it's just happening to him. I think he's fallen into a trap there on the basis of a frustrating season that the team is.
You're probably right, but I do think the general part about the quarterbacks is legit and valid, and Blandino, head of officials, has even said, because they missed a couple of calls this last week, that they said there's a guy who got fined $18,000 for a hit that wasn't flagged. I do wonder how that can even happen in 2016, given officials are watching the quarterback more carefully than ever. You've got replays, which you love. You've got all of that stuff. I get his frustration a little bit because there are then quarterbacks like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers where if you breathe the same air that they breathe, you're going to get a flag. You know, I don't think Brady gets calls, Rodgers gets calls. There's a handful of quarterbacks who, or if they get touched at all, they're in the face of an official. Cam doesn't strike me as a guy who's complaining about that stuff all the time.
No, but every week I think I see other quarterbacks. Where I go, how does that not get
And Blandino
called?
mentioned that as well. He says we've missed him on everybody,
and that's
but
not good.
Seems like
you should get them, but there's more consciousness on it than ever, and there's certainly a lot more than there once was. Like I said, I think a lot of this is he's frustrated by a season that is not exactly the follow-up to last year.
No, 15-1 year ago.
Well.
Did you like his hat better or Trump's hat better in the Enough Said hat power rankings?
I'm not sure. Am I?
You don't have to vote.
Make a pick?
Just like Tuesday, you can write in.
Let's move on. A high school just south of Madison reportedly using scare tactics to stress the importance of safe driving. During morning announcements, they said that 4 students were killed during a car accident that they were texting and drinking. It turns out it was a safety drill. It was an idea from the student council. A student said it over the mic, and now the principal is doing damage control. Justin.
Intent good, idea bad, execution awful. I mean, can you just narrow it down to those 3 sentences? It sounds good on the front end.
Kind of like the Vikings the last 2 weeks.
Very similar, yeah. You plan your work, but when you work your plan, it didn't really work out, I think, as intended. And so, to quote, I think Rosenbaum used to say that a lot. It didn't work as I intended. Great idea. I think we're all on board with it. Distracted driving, it's an issue. A lot of things can go wrong on the road. But you probably should screen if it's as simple as student council did the idea and kind of went with it, without maybe enough approval or prior approval or anything like that, probably needs to be screened.
That's what I'm curious to know.
Is the school throwing the kids under the bus?
Are the kids getting thrown under the bus?
Could be.
Because I like to think that any announcement that's going to be offered up through the entire school has to be approved or screened by the people in charge.
I think they kind of trust people. I think they trust the student announcements.
They shouldn't anymore.
I don't know.
But my bottom line on this is, whenever you lie, you're asking for trouble. Don't lie. We all know it's a serious issue, but to scare yourself now, I don't think the message of scaring you straight is utterly lost now anyway, because they were going to say that it was all a ruse, and in the meantime you've got kids. In this case, I mock the idea that kids are always traumatized. Like
this time
clowns.
They were, yeah.
They had every reason to be traumatized because they named these kids. Now the kids were in on it, but the 4 who allegedly died, even though they didn't. But I just don't think you get anywhere near this. There's a million other ways. You want to show graphic video.
You want to put a car that's been in an accident like that? Schools do that all the time.
Here's what can happen to bodies that get stuck in this sort of situation in an accident. When you're kids, you're looking at your text, or you may be drinking as well. But there's no way to go down this road. And if principal guy is trying to defend it, he's delusional, don't you think? I mean, there's no defense. And I still am curious to know whether they might have known. And they're acting like, we probably shouldn't have done it after the fact as opposed to in the front end.
I just can't.
Did student council at your school, could they just make announcements?
I don't know, not on the video. Yeah. No, I don't think so. I don't remember. I was always skipping homeroom. I was always eating burgers.
It's time for the lightning round. Are you guys feeling anxious with Election Day right around the corner?
Yes.
Yes.
In a word.
You could be suffering from election stress disorder. There are a lot of articles on it right now. People are feeling stressed talking about politics at work. Are you?
Not stress,
you said
fatigue.
yes.
Fatigue and bored, I think, is the better way.
So what's
because it's overwhelming. We've been doing it forever, and
How
this
do you
election
treat it?
has been.
If it's a disorder, how do we treat
Do
it?
you get money? I mean, can you sue somebody?
Class
can we
action
sue the
lawsuit?
Republican and Democratic parties
That would be a nice way to go.
in order to?
I worry that there is no treatment. That's the problem.
No.
Step one is identifying.
The cure is the election to take place, although there's going to be more nonsense afterwards, as you well know.
There will be.
It's never going to end. No,
Okay, next
ever.
up. CNN drops contributor Donna Brazile for apparently leaking questions to Clinton's campaign before a debate and town hall meeting. Did the network overreact, Dan?
No.
They didn't, but I guess they did. Does
How
that make
so?
sense?
No.
Well, because what's the distinction? I mean, in all honesty, all these.
It's like cheating on a test,
all
Dan.
these
It's
hired
academic
hands
dishonesty.
they're. I guess what I'm saying is, if by this CNN is proving
Thinks
now
they're taking a
people,
stand?
the people we're going to have on now are really detached and objective.
That's
These
probably
folks
not
are
true.
all either in government or out of government, basically complimenting the person who can help them get back into government. I don't trust any of these talking heads.
Now you need like a law firm or you need PricewaterhouseCoopers like they do
Yeah.
for the Oscars
Right.
to have the votes. They keep them secret. They're going
it.
to have to be in charge of all the debate
Okay,
questions
moving
now to
on.
make sure nobody gets leaked.
It's true.
Listen to this, 72% of kids have at least one device in their room after they go to bed. iPads, cell phones, something like that. It's hurting the quality and quantity of their sleep. And it also, the light from these devices
Yeah.
throws off
Yeah.
their natural body timing. Justin?
What about if your kid wakes up and the first thing he does is grab a device?
Is that worse, you're saying?
Well, I'm just saying, we don't have it in his bed with him. He's just got his books and his toys
So
and
you
his
say, we
blankets
don't
and
know
everything.
you're
No,
telling
we
the
don't.
truth.
We
Yeah.
don't. Because
Okay.
I need to do it while I'm in bed. I'm not going to give him my phone when
Yeah.
I want to be reading my phone in my bed. Same with my wife. But the second that he wakes up, when he asks for wheels on the bus,
There's the crutch.
What do? Does that affect his sleep? Does that affect his attention disorder? He doesn't have one in the crib, luckily, yet. But
no
it could
iPads
happen.
in the crib. That would be
No
bad.
iPads in the crib?
I don't think that's good
None of it's
parenting.
helpful. We know that, right? I mean,
Right.
none of it's good,
Okay,
but
next
the
up.
idea is to how do you get out of
Get
it?
through it.
The highest paid person, a woman in music, is Taylor Swift. According to Forbes magazine, she's earned $170 million in the last year. Adele, number 2, Madonna, number 3. Dan?
Well,
How about Madonna? Coming
that
in
is
strong at
surprising.
number 3.
Yeah.
How is that
Sure.
even possible?
Not sure.
What about Beyonce? Where's Beyonce in this
Sources
list?
say Beyonce is like barely top 5 or
Yeah.
top 6.
You think she'll
top
retire
7.
now in shame?
I think she could retire if
Yeah,
she
well,
wanted to. And
yeah.
Jay-Z's got some
I
money
think they
too.
all could if
Yes.
they want to. Yeah.
And
But you know
last-
what? This has nothing to do with. Does that have anything to do with quality? It just means popularity.
Taylor's good. Adele's good.
Taylor's not good.
They're all
Taylor's
good.
very good.
okay.
No,
then
Taylor's
last-
strong.
Adele's very
Star-
good. Taylor's okay.
Taylor's strong.
We should have done a whole segment on this.
Yeah, for sure.
Next
Starbucks
week.
unveils a new cup they just can't win. It's green, a symbol of unity, because before the election they didn't want to go red or blue. Red is supposed to be coming out. Who knew there would be a cup controversy just every year? Justin?
Well, I was going to say, we all should know
Well, so
every
what's
year.
the controversy about the Unity Cup?
They don't like it. It's too connected. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know why they
I think
don't
they're
like
just
it.
trying too hard. Just have your regular cups.
Re-
This makes me throw up as much as if you went red or blue.
I think everybody should have to bring their own cup now. Let's just make
Well,
it green. We do that with the bags in the supermarket.
true.
Not green like that. Green in terms of the environment. Let's just have everybody bring their own cups so that no one will be offended by what
Bring your own
Starbucks is bringing.
thermos,
Yes,
whatever. Yeah.
every week.
And
No more
but
cups.
they'll still charge you.
Yeah,
for a cup
they'll
'cause
upcharge you for a cup.